Good Monday morning. I am, of course, the host of Motivational Mondays, Genevieve Jones-Wright, founder and lead empower mentor of Motivation.In.Action, or MIA. And this month, we are starting our September conversations. September is, of course, National Recovery Month. And so it is only appropriate for me to start with one of my favorite people in the entire world who should be right here talking with you, helping you start your Monday and your week off in honor of National Recovery Month, Ms. Roxy Walnum. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, Jen. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great honor that I'm here today. I really appreciate it, and to get to highlight Recovery Month, because recovery is very important in my life. It's good to see you.
It is so good to see you. It's been years.
It has been years, but impactful years. We've been watching each other on Facebook, so that's a good thing too.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
anyway.
So before we get into the heart of National Recovery Month and what it means to you, who is Roxy Walnum?
Well, I would almost say native San Diego, and I've been here since I was 5 years old, so I think that qualifies. But I am actually what I would consider a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is that I have had over 33 years free from alcohol and drugs, and my life has really been blessed in many ways. I've raised my kids here. I was raised up in Ramona, so I'm a country girl too, and grew up in Ramona for many, many years. Finally moved down to the East County area of Granite Hills and El Cajon, and raised 2 kids in that area. I have a son and a daughter and 1 grandchild. And let me see, what else? I am the Executive Director of a women's residential treatment program, Crossroads, which I'm proud to say is the longest residential for women in San Diego County. It was founded in 1957, and it is the second oldest in the state of California. So they've been around a really long time. We've been saving lives, and what I believe has been my journey in life after all of these years is when they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd have never have said that I want to be this when I grow up, but now I know that my purpose in life has been to save people's lives, and that's what I believe that I do. So I guess that's it. I mean, I've done a lot in San Diego. I've been around working in a variety of areas. Before my time in recovery, I actually was a landscape irrigation specialist at State College for 10 years. And loved that job, loved being on the campus and stuff. So finally, when I did get into recovery and went back to school, I was really blessed with that opportunity too. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and we, of course, met through our work at the county.
Yes.
We were both working for County of San Diego Public Defender's Office.
Yes.
And you were what do we call it? An assessment? Assessor.
Substance abuse assessor.
Yes.
Yes, one of the first. I really enjoyed that job too. Yes, I've worked in a variety of areas in recovery, and one of them was with the Public Defender's Office, where I actually went into the jails, and attorneys would identify somebody who might want some services, and I would go in and assess them, talk about getting into treatment, and then place them out in the community of the different treatment centers around San Diego County. I also worked for the probation department for a period of time too, which was nice because I went into the jails working with the youthful offender program, so that population of 18 to 25 that were high-risk criminals doing a lot of crime and also substance abuse. So I'd go in, give them education and materials, and help them transition into the community too. Plus, there's a variety. One of my first jobs is in Las Colinas. I went in and had a whole treatment unit there, one of the housing units, and we were bringing treatment to the women in Las Colinas. So that was for a couple years. I've worked at Crash Residential, worked for McAllister many years. These are all different. And the bulk of my recovery employment was done with mental health systems. And they have a program in partnership with both the public defender, the district attorney, probation, and the county to bring drug and alcohol treatment, and it's called Drug Court. So it's kind of a national thing, but they have it here in San Diego, and I did treatment for the drug courts for many, many years. Actually went there and left and came back, and I just left there recently. And I also sat on the board of directors for the collaborative courts here in the state of California, and I'm a trainer for the National Drug Court Association nationally. So I'm pretty passionate about helping people, especially in the criminal justice population, come out and learn a new way of life, giving them an opportunity to change their life. Because if I was honest with everybody, 34 years ago on November 8th, November 28th, 1988, probably before people, maybe you weren't around. Anyway.
God bless you for that. Maybe the people behind the cameras weren't around, but.
But anyway, I happened to get myself in some trouble and made some really bad decisions. And so I went to where I consider the resort in Santee, Las Colinas. And if you don't know what the resort in Santee is, it's actually the women's jail there. And I spent about 6 months, and that started my road to recovery. You know, being raised in Ramona, there wasn't a lot to do back then. There wasn't even any stoplights at the time or in the town. But, you know, drinking and stuff was kind of a way of life in my family. We drank, we partied, we had fun. And as I was growing up, of course, it's late 60s, early 70s. Then we're talking marijuana and other drugs too, and I started experimenting with those, and somewhere along the line that kind of got out of control. I remember a time that I was married by this time, and I had a little girl, and my husband and I were together, and we were drinking and smoking marijuana and getting high, and I said to him, you know, you and I have got to stop this before she goes into kindergarten, because this is not good. We've got to be responsible parents. And her name is Michelle. Michelle was 17 when I finally got clean and sober, and when I finally got arrested and went into Las Colinas and stuff. But that's how long that and powerful the disease is. You know, I knew a long time before that I needed help, but I just couldn't get there on my own. And I was never really given the opportunity. It's so great now to find out that, you know, even though you're being coerced from the courts, that at least the opportunity is being pushed. Because I had phone numbers for many, many years of detox and people that I knew were clean that would help me, and I couldn't pick up the phone and ask for help. So I remember that day the judge said 6 months, no early release, no work furlough, no sheriff's parole, no treatment. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I went into Las Colinas, and I was sitting there waiting to get fingerprinted and booked and processed. And I heard this voice in the room that said, Roxy, what are you doing to yourself? You're worth more than this. And right then I was totally alone in the room. And I said to myself, you know what? That was God. That's my first spiritual awakening, that God's talking to me. And yes, all of my decisions had got me right where I was. And he's there telling me I'm worth more in a situation where I felt very, very hopeless, very angry. I was lonely. I was tired. I didn't know what to do. But I was surrendering inside, and I know I needed help. And I took that opportunity to get the help right then and there. That was kind of the start of my journey, and I tell women that, and men now, why do I think you're worth more than that? Because that was my first time. I was never raised religious or anything like that. I had no background in that area. But over the years, probably one of my biggest accomplishment is having a God of my understanding, and that somebody I know, no matter what, he's got my back. He's got a plan for me. Why do I stress over stuff? Stop, just do the footwork, and the doors will open. and just trust the process. And I've learned that basically from 12-step stuff to start out with, but I've read a lot and went to church and, did a lot of spiritual growth for myself. So anyway, I'm going on and on.
No, this is great. And I'm like, we can stop the tape right now because she's preaching up in here. So, everything that you're saying is kind of like the themes that we're getting a lot of the weeks on Motivational Mondays, right? Like God has a plan for you. And I always talk to people about the purpose that we've been given. Each one of us has a purpose, a God-given purpose. There's something Roxy was put on this earth to do that only Roxy can do. There's something that I can only do. And when we tap into what God has given us, we are working in our gifts. We're working in our purpose. We're doing what we need to do. So I'm like, preach it, Roxy, yes. And just trust.
Yes.
Just trust. Even if you don't know what the next step looks like, just trust. God has us.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for sharing that part of your journey to sobriety. But I want to ask you, and I think you just really answered that, but the key to success, your success.
Well, I think, just what you were saying, and I want to describe this last process that I just went through. I had left mental health systems in the drug court for a reason, and a reason unknown. It was very uncomfortable, but they moved me to another position, and I thought, oh my gosh, at my age, it's time for me to retire. Maybe I need to. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. I started saying, God, you know my worth. I tell you, my best work is still ahead of me. What can I do? Please, you've got to give me some direction. I get a phone call from a friend and she goes, Roxy, there's an executive director position coming open and I would like for you to apply for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a big position. I can't believe it. I don't know. And she goes, just apply. Just apply because you've got all the skills. And here I am today at my age, excited about coming to work, knowing I come in every day. I drive a long ways because I live out in Alpine, and I say to myself, okay, what is this great job? What's my best work, God? You've got the plan. I'm willing, I'm showing up. So that is kind of where I'm at today. And it's amazing to me that I'm so passionate about what I'm still doing. And what I do in simple form is save people's lives. That's how simple I keep it. Even when I'm talking to individual men and women, if you think you have a problem, we're here to save your lives. My staff's here to save your lives. That's our passion. We don't care about whether your family wants you here, whether the judge wants you here. If you want to be here, we want to save your life. And this is one of those powerful diseases that it's not just something that goes away. You don't graduate from it. Recovery is a process, and you're either in two places in your life. You're either in the problem, drinking and using and whatever, or you're in the solution. And recovery is a journey. You have to keep trying at it. It takes a little bit of time to get it right. Not everybody comes in, and I know families saying, oh boy, my family member's in treatment. This is all over. No, that's not how it is. It might take, SAMHSA, the National Organization for Substance Abuse, says it takes 7 attempts at treatment before you actually get it. So it's a journey every day. And even in mine, I still attend 2 AA meetings that I go to regularly, and I go to events around my recovery friends. I'm getting ready to go to a convention in Hawaii in October. So it's just, it becomes a life for me. And I get to share that. And my product is hope, that it can be different. So you asked me, why do you think I've been successful at this? And I've thought about that a little bit. Number one is, of course, the relationship I've built with my higher power and with God, because I trust no matter what. It's all going to be okay. And the other is the relationships that I've built in my life are so important to me. I have people that I worked with. A friend of mine just got 25 years that was in drug court 25 years ago with me. Those relationships that I've worked with individuals, watched their families and their kids grow up, and actually had some of their kids in treatment with me in the past and watched them change. But also the fact of watching professionally individuals that have helped me. Our relationship, just simple like that, relationships are very important for me. And, I keep the disease of addiction at the forefront of my life, because every day I go out with people and somebody that really doesn't know me would say, well, what do you mean you don't want to drink some wine? You can have some wine. And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. And my head tells me, oh, you used to love to smoke marijuana. And I say, wait a minute, I can't do that either. I have to know it's a decision. Every day I wake up and it's a decision. I can either make the wrong decision, and that'll take me down this terrible path, or I continue on this journey that it's endless, the possibilities that I can have. So those are at least some, and giving back. That's kind of what I'm doing too, is giving back, being a part of the greater good. When I look at society and things and the problems, if I look at the big picture of the disease of addiction and the alcohol companies and the pharmaceutical companies and all the money being made, I have to go, wait a minute, let's get back to this individual person that I can help, who has 3 kids that are in school, that they will get help then, and they're part of Little League and all this community stuff, and then I'm part of the community. So I definitely know that I've been put on this to be doing what I'm doing for not only individuals, but for my community too.
Absolutely.
So, my life's work.
How many years are we celebrating of sobriety?
It'll be November 28th, will be 34 years.
Wow.
34 years, it's kind of crazy. And I'll be honest with you, I'll be 70 in January. So, life is good. I'm looking at maybe, can I get 50 years in recovery or 60? Yeah.
Well, when you said 70 years, I was thinking earlier when you were talking, how did she pack all of this into 40 years?
Yeah.
So, gonna leave you with the $1 billion question.
Oh, okay.
What advice would you give to our audience today as they start their week on a motivational note because of your inspiring story? And or what would you like to say to anyone who's struggling with addiction today?
Mm-hmm. What I want to say to the person that's struggling with addiction is, please, there is help out there. Get help. Seek help. Take the help and look at it as an opportunity. The other thing I want to say is, really, in the end, at the end of the day, we're accountable for our own sobriety. We tend to tell a lot of stories, but the bottom line is we have a choice. Either pick up or not pick up. And if you get some help, you'll learn how not to do that. As for family members and stuff, sometimes family members need, it's difficult. I mean, it affects everybody. This is a family disease. And it affects all families and generations of families. So, I've worked in Las Colinas where I had a grandmother in one housing unit, a daughter in another, and the granddaughter in another. And this is the same with my family, too. I remember when I first got sober, I think I said my daughter was 17 years old. This was the baby I talked about that was an infant when I knew I had a problem. Anyway, at 17, she was drinking and using, a cheerleader at Granite Hills at her high school, but I knew that she was in trouble too. But I couldn't help her at the time. And so as I got into recovery, her and I kind of parted ways because she was making other decisions and that. So I tried many times to go to young people's meetings and really, God, please help me get my daughter. I'll get back to these young people and help them, and maybe that'll happen. And I kind of lost my passion for it. And then one day, 15, 16 years later, I get this phone call from my daughter who's now living up in LA, and I'm like, Michelle, what's up? And she says, Mom, I got the gift. I said, what gift are you talking about? I got it. You've had it for a long time. And I was like, okay, tell me what the gift is, Michelle. And she says, Mom, I haven't drank in 3 days. I've been going to a meeting a day. I have a sponsor. I'm reading the book. I'm doing this deal. I can't do this anymore. And she now has about 20 years sober. And it's a true miracle she has that. And we've done, in January, we always go to a spiritual retreat with our AA friends at the first of the year, kind of New Beginnings is what it's called. But her and I have done a lot of stuff in recovery together, and it's just a bonding experience. But yes, I'm fortunate. So families do recover too. I want you all to know that. That's important.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that part of your story, because really and truly it's a testament to your example of going down that path to sobriety. So not just for the people that you've helped professionally, but the people right there in your midst, your own child.
My family, yes. And so many people come into treatment and they have kids that are drinking and using, or they come in and their parents drink and use, and it's just really a sad situation. I think it's important that family members know that they cannot get the addict clean. They really can't. They need to seek professional help to get help for their individual loved one. But that individual has got to want to put in some effort for it too. So, but you don't have to keep doing this. I know that helpless, angry, lonely, desperate situation and that feeling that you have inside. There is hope. Please call me. There's September has a lot of events going on right now. Crossroads is having a big fundraiser on September 10th. McAllister is having a sobriety walk at Liberty Station this month, and I also know there's Recovery Happens, which the county puts on and hosts a variety of programs. So there's a number you can call. It's 211 and ask, and they will help you connect with outpatient, residential, whatever you want. And there's always Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Heroines Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, all types of anonymous programs for help too, including Al-Anon for the family.
Thank you for that information, and I'm going to make sure that we put it on the screen so we can attend some of those community events.
Great.
I want to be the first to tell you congratulations on 30 plus years
Thank you.
of sobriety.
Thank you.
And your life of just transformational help for folks who are in your boat, not in your boat yet. You are just an amazing person, and I just love seeing the growth. So also congratulations on being Executive Director of Crossroads.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here this week to help us start our week off. You've heard it from Miss Walnum. So if you are feeling lonely, depressed, desperate, hopeless, there's help for you, and you're not the only person who feels that way now. You're not the only person who has ever felt that way. There is help for you. You are not in this alone. So if you're a family member of someone, or if you are that person, let's wrap our arms around each other. Let's get through this. Let's get to this. Mm-hmm. And, recovery's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Recovery works.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Motivational Mondays. I'm going to see you next week, same time, same place, right here, with more inspiration to help you jumpstart your week. Now, if you found this week's conversation inspirational or motivational in any way, maybe you got a gem to carry with you throughout the day or the week, please feel free to like, comment, and share. Because remember, everyone can use some motivation. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you next week.